Hi there, my name is Laura, and in this video I'm going to show you how to be more visible in the workplace. Now, no one likes a braggart, right? But working hard does not equal job security, recognition, and getting yourself on the right promotion track. So the question is, how do you become visible? How do you promote yourself in the workplace without feeling icky? And in this video, I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how to be visible in the workplace. I'm going to show you why it's key to career success. And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to do it tactfully so you don't get that horrible feeling like ickiness at all. Now, if this is the first time you've come across my videos, then I'm the lead trainer at activatemycareerlive.com, where we help professionals who feel like their careers are plateauing or maybe not progressing fast enough, and we help them elevate themselves in the workplace and really fast track their career. And if you haven't already, check out the free masterclass at www.activatemycareerlive.com. And we're going to cover in that masterclass a lot more than we cover in this video. But this type of training is the sort of stuff that we do in the masterclass. So check it out. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel because there's going to be lots of new content too. So, key question: how do you promote yourself in the workplace without feeling icky? So I wanted to tell you a quick story. I remember one perfectly normal day when I was at work, I received a meeting invite from my boss, 2 o'clock, his office. I remember walking in and sitting on this chair feeling quite uncomfortable. You know when you're trying to act really cool and relaxed, but actually you feel a bit like a uncomfortable teenager and your hands are slightly sweating and breathing is fast and your heart's beating, you can feel your heart beating. He started talking and he explained that they were making people redundant, and unfortunately I was one of 20 people they were making redundant, and he had decided he was going to keep James, the other project director, instead of me because he had links into the industry. Have you ever been in that situation where you're kind of like, it takes you a while for your brain to kind of click what you're saying? It takes a while, and when you do, you're kind of like, what? Confused and frustrated. I don't understand. This wasn't in my plan. I wanted to have a successful career. I put loads and loads of work and effort into that role, into that job, into delivering that project. I wanted to get recognition for my work, slogging my guts out, sacrificing my free time, my family time, time with my friends. I had just been this kind of slogging professional and they were making me redundant. And you know the value in the hard work that you have added in. You know that you're committed to the work that you're doing and you feel like you have so much more to contribute. But actually, in reality, you're exhausted and you're working full on and you never have time to think, and deep down, you just feel like there's always something that's holding you back. And as I sat at my parents' house that Christmas, because I got made redundant just before that Christmas break, I remember thinking, everyone was sort of sitting around celebrating. I was feeling quite desperate at the time. And I remember thinking, why did the senior team keep James and not me? Because actually, James just rocked up at 10 a.m. in the morning. He'd drink a coffee, do some emails, take a few calls, and then he'd get up, just go and talk to our boss. He'd go down the hallway, drop in on a few of the senior directors, walk around the office, and then sort of meander off to meetings at 3 p.m. I was like, you know those people, right? No one seems to notice that they're not actually doing that much work. They don't seem to care. But as I was walking around my parents' garden that Christmas, I was thinking, something dawned on me. James's working day compared with my working day. He wasn't being lazy. He was actually doing something that I wasn't doing. He was being seen. He was being seen, and I realized that the senior managers weren't seeing all my hard work. They weren't seeing all the effort that I had put in. They were seeing James's, right? They were seeing James's. And I realized if I wanted to make all my hard work count, if I wanted to make sure that everyone knew about the hard work that I put in, it is as important in your working week, in your working day, to be seen by the people that make the decisions, by the senior team, by the people who are making the choices on the work, on the project. Otherwise, why would they be paying attention to you? They wouldn't. So there was I, slogging pro, delivering my projects, and I was waiting for the world to come to me. And there was James, on the other hand. He was, doing his work, but he was proactively going around building relationships, having coffees, communicating. He was being strategic. He was being strategic about the relationships that he built, the communication he had in the company. He wasn't waiting around for people to notice. He wasn't waiting around for people to rock up and go, "You're doing an amazing job." He was very carefully and very strategically communicating upwards the value that he brought to the company every single day. And I realized that actually hard work doesn't put you forward. Hard work doesn't get you the recognition that you want for the work that you do. And hard work doesn't get you put on the projects that you want to be put on. You have to have this other piece, this communication piece, alongside all the work and effort that you put in. So since I kind of made that realization and had a number of other experiences, I spent 15 years working out how to be seen, how to communicate, how to influence, and also solving some of the other things that hold us back from the things that we really want to do. And that's really why I ended up doing activatemycareerlive.com. So why do people often struggle with self-promotion? So at a high level, culturally and personally, we don't want to feel like we're putting ourselves forward all the time. We don't want to feel like being aggressive or cheesy, because you occasionally come across those people who do it all the time in a really bad way. And we don't want to ruin our reputation. It makes us feel uncomfortable talking about ourselves in that way. But there's another thing, because talking about yourselves, if you've got a strategy, if you've got a tool to talk about yourselves in a way that isn't cheesy, would you go in and do it straight off? Well, some people would and some people won't. But there are also there's internal resistance to promoting ourselves. And I think at a deep, 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 deep core, Slogging Laura had a deep, deep resistance, because at a deep level she didn't feel like she was good enough. She, at a deep level, didn't feel like she was good enough. So the idea of putting herself forward all the time really got resistance. But the thing is, if you want to if you want to add value, if you want to do the best you can do, if you want to get to the level you can do in your career, you really need to, as in the case of me and James, you need to be able to communicate yourself effectively and update people and inform people and communicate with people, because that is going to give you the value, the positioning and the value in the company. And I always like to think of it as a tree that's kind of growing in a pot, but there's a cage around it. No matter how much value that tree, how beautiful that tree is going to be, no matter how much that tree could grow, that internal resistance to not being good enough is always going to hold it back. So if we can get rid of that internal resistance, slogging Laura becomes strategic Laura. If you've got the right tools and systems in place, you cannot do anything else but become more strategic about how you are, how you communicate in the company. What are some of the common myths or misconceptions about self-promotion? So we've just talked about feeling cheesy and arrogant if we self-promote. But remember at the beginning in the story when slogging Laura put all that hard work in, put all that effort in, she wasn't recognised, she wasn't seen by the senior team. So actually, it's a myth, a misconception that if you don't, that people are just going to come to you and recognise your efforts and see you for what you are if you don't communicate to them. That is a myth. So the question is doing it in a way that is tactful, doesn't make you feel cheesy, enables you to really put yourself forward with confidence so that you can say, hi, this is what I've been doing, this is what you should know, this is the value I can bring to the table. And that's really where slogging Laura realised that it doesn't matter about all that hard work, all that effort, that it's a myth to think that people are going to come to you, the world is going to come to you and recognise your value, certainly at a later level in your career if you can't, if you don't communicate. So that's one of the key myths. And yeah, there are sort of cocky people who are annoying, but you don't have to do it like that. You can do it tactfully, you can do it elegantly, and you can do it a way that feels congruent with who you are and how you communicate. So that's the question, which is next, is how do you do it tactfully without feeling cheesy? So how do you self-promote without feeling cheesy, icky, salesy, all those nasty words? Well, one of the sort of mental reframes is to see every interaction that you have with a senior professional, with the senior managers in your company, as an opportunity to build a relationship. Now, I'm not talking about being friends or sort of having beers together or whatever it is. I'm talking about being visible, making them aware that you are the expert in whatever it is you do, if you're a specific strand of engineering, for example. So when you're talking with them in the interactions that you have, not only you might be updating them, or you might be having to ask them for more budget or more resource, or see that conversation as an opportunity to share some of your experience and your credibility. And you don't have to say, oh, let me just share you some credibility, let me just share you some of my experience and credibility. You can actually do it. So my recommendation is X, and I can back this up because of the projects that I've had experience on already. For example, I worked on X project where we did exactly the same and blah, blah, blah. And you can describe the project in specific detail so that they know what you're capable of. And you can sort of feed them indirectly as you're giving them the information and the interaction you have, some of the experiences and the knowledge that you have. So they're like, when I need someone in that in part of engineering, then I'm going to call on Laura. So use every interaction you have to share some of the examples and experiences that you've had in the answers that you could give, and actually preparing those examples as part of building your sort of personal pitch, right? So that you can draw on these examples and give them in the answers that you have in these interactions. Another way to get on the radar, get visible, is you can ask some of these senior managers for advice. There's very few people in the world who, if you ask them for advice, are going to say no, get lost. Now, they might be too busy, so they might refer you to someone else, but you can go in and say, can I put 15 minutes in your diary because I wanted to get your advice on this project, or I wanted to get your input on this project. And you go in and you ask them questions, and while you're having that interaction, you're sharing the experience that you have. And then when you finish that interaction, you've got a reason to follow up. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your advice. Really appreciate it. It sits really well with what I'm doing because I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And is it okay if I drop you an email or follow this up and just let you know how we're getting on? And they're going to say, yeah, of course you can, because they're humans, right? So using every interaction that you have as an opportunity to share some of your experience and your examples in an indirect, tactful way, asking advice, and remembering that there are other people in your network that can help you build these relationships. So actually having identified a number of people that are going to be strategically good relationships for you to develop is key. So being visible in the workplace is one of many strategies that we cover in the Activate My Career Live Masterclass. And if you haven't already, go and check out the website. It's www.activatemycareerlive.com, and you can register for free for our next masterclass, where we will really help you to recognize the value that you bring to the workplace, how to develop your relationship, how to get you to the next level. So if you're feeling overworked, underpaid, and stressed, and you want to be on your way to advancing to the next level, your next title in the next 3 months, come and see us at the masterclass at www.activatemycareerlive.com. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, and there should be a video coming up now, which is another video about elevating yourself in the workplace and building your confidence as you do it. And I look forward to seeing you there.